Okay, hey y'all, as promised, I wanted to throw together just a super short video on what not to say to people who are deconstructing. For those of you who do not know, deconstruction is the name given to the process of those who are actively leaving or deconstructing their Christian faith. Specifically, this can apply to anybody, but I have seen it most specifically to those that call themselves Exvangelicals. So those of us that were part of the evangelical, like modern Christian church and are now deconstructing and have left the faith. It does apply to anybody like leaving any religion, but I've seen it be the most popular around people who are leaving modern evangelical Christianity. And you can now hear my dog bringing me toys because he just heard me start talking. That's the most common thing. So we're talking about people who, you know, have left their Christian faith and are deconstructing and processing it. It's really popular amongst people who were born into their faith. And then you have a whole lifetime of things to kind of pull apart, hence deconstruction. First things first, I'm super open about my deconstruction journey, and that is intentional. You are always allowed to ask me questions. I am very open about it online, and it is for that reason, like, you know, you are allowed to come like ask questions. I'm not like triggered by conversations about it. I wouldn't be posting about it if I didn't want people asking me about it. Does that make sense? Like, I wouldn't just like post it and then be like, never talk to me about this. Some people can do that, and that's totally fine. But that's not how I roll. So as always, you know, perfectly fine to ask me any questions, comment on my experience, like have a dialogue. If it's something that you are going through or you are starting to go through and you relate, please do come talk to me. I didn't even know that these phrases were like that triggering until they were like said to me, and then it was like, oh, that's like not a great response. That kind of brings up a lot of feelings in me. So these are just like 5 quick things in my experience that you should not say to somebody who's like deconstructing. But again, that doesn't mean don't talk to me. Please absolutely always come talk to me about it. And if you even have questions about like, okay, but why that phrase, come ask me about it. If you have like ever said one of these like to me in my DMs, whatever, it's fine. Like, it's so fine. Again, I probably didn't even know that it was a thing until it was said, and I know that like I'm really lucky in all of the DMs that I've gotten, for the most part, like 99% of the time, have been clearly well-intentioned. So if I say something and you're like, oh my God, I think I said that once, girl, it's fine, it's fine. I know where your heart was, like it's totally fine. Just like, don't say it moving forward. But please also don't come apologize for it, because then it's like, we've got to go through the whole thing of me like telling you that it's fine, you know, and it is fine, but they're just like, oh, okay, note for the future, and we can move on. This is by no means meant to call out anybody. I have no screenshots, nothing. Like, I'm not trying to like call anybody out for any of this. None of this is personal. These are just like phrases that I've seen pop up in conversations around deconstruction that I just feel like it's probably helpful if you don't say to people who are deconstructing. Also, I've just now noticed how dramatic my overhead lighting is right now in the apartment, and ironically, I feel like it's giving like dramatic sermon lighting, so that's funny. So again, none of this is personal. Please don't like come apologize or anything if you've like ever felt that you said one of these things. Please don't do that. It's totally cool. Again, I've only ever really had positive conversations about deconstruction, and please keep coming to talk to me about it. Like, come talk to me about it. Seriously. This is by no means meant to stop the conversation whatsoever. These are just like a couple of phrases that I noticed. I was like, okay, when we do talk about it, please avoid those. I literally wrote them down. The first thing that please don't do this when you are talking to somebody who's deconstructing. Don't say that you approve. Specifically around Easter, I got a lot of comments. I talked about having alternative Easter plans, and I got a lot of comments of Christians saying like, well, I'm a Christian and I approve. I don't care. Okay, I don't care. I know that that was meant with like a ton of good intentions, but I don't care. Like, the whole point of deconstruction is like removing yourself from feeling like a lot of times that you're under a microscope and that people, especially in the church, are judging your decisions. So even if it's approval, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear how somebody who is a Christian or how the church is taking my response, is like how they're taking my actions, because I don't care. The whole point is moving away from some of those toxic templates, and I'm not saying that you're being toxic, but moving away from some of those broader templates where your decisions are so moderated by a larger church body and by other Christians. So I don't care. I don't care. That was really like a tricky one for me, because I knew that everybody was just being super, super supportive, but like, I don't want to see a Christian saying like, I'm a Christian and I approve. I don't care. Please stop inserting your faith into the narrative, because like, that's one thing also, like 100% I respect and I practice, and this is not a slander video to other Christians. I respect and I love everybody who practices their own beliefs with respect and love and doesn't try to force it on others. And by inserting yourself into the conversation like that, and also saying one more time, like, well, I'm a Christian, you're jumping into the conversation, you are inserting yourself and you are centering yourself, the Christian. And then you're saying, I approve this message. I don't want to talk about that. I don't really care about what your faith makes you believe. I don't care if you approve it. I know that was probably supposed to make me feel better. But the thing is like, I don't give a rat's ass about Christian approval. So please don't slide in and say that. It is so hurtful. Completely unintentionally, understand, but like, you are centering your faith when you do that, and I am trying to literally get away from the faith that I once had because it was very harmful to me. So please don't do that. Please don't come in and say, I'm a Christian and I approve. I don't care. I don't care. I really don't. And it just is one more harsh memory of like, oh, look, somebody passing commentary on my actions. Even if it's good, it is judgment. Even if it's a positive judgment, you are a Christian and you have decided to identify yourself as such and then pass judgment on my actions. And I am not interested in that. Again, I'm not attacking anybody for their personal Christian faith. I'm just saying, please do not come in and identify yourself as such and then pass judgment, even if it's good, on mine. I'm not interested in the judgment, either good or negative, of anybody who is doing so from the lens of a Christian. Like, I'm just not interested. So please avoid that. The second one is, again, people sort of like centering their faith. I had a lot of people over the past few months really come into my DMs and say like, I'm a Christian and I'm so sorry for what you've been through in the church. Please don't. Again, like, you're choosing to enter this conversation with me, and you are identifying yourself first and foremost as a current practicing Christian. Totally cool if you are, one more time, like totally cool if you are, but you're centering your identity around your current Christian faith, which again, I'm really trying to deconstruct because it's very harmful to me and I want nothing to do it. And again, I don't want an apology. Again, judgment, good or bad, it kind of goes back to the same thing. I'm not interested in an apology because you don't speak for the whole church. You only speak for you. And while I can appreciate those sentiments, and I think they're very kind, and I know that they were never said with bad intent, please don't say it, because it's just so triggering for a lot of different reasons to have somebody like, I'm a Christian and I'm so sorry for what you went through through the church. Okay, but the church isn't really that sorry as a whole body, and like, obviously my opinions of the church are clearly based off of my experience. So this is not like, you know, clearly this is gonna be a somewhat biased video when I talk about this because it's 100% based off my experiences. But I don't care. The church body's insanely broken. It's why I'm out of it. I think that the modern Christian faith is broken. It's why I'm out of it. So I'm not interested in apologies, because then, you know, it kind of puts me in a place of having to say like, no, you're good, it's fine, thanks so much for the apology. That just does nothing. It's not helpful. It's not. And then I think kind of like the third thing that goes into the third one is a couple of people have come in and said like, you know, I'm so sorry, kind of that like same I'm sorry, but like my church is different, or, you know, I'm different, and, you know, at my church we blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Do not come into my DMs. I'm so sorry. Don't tell anybody who's deconstructing that you're different or the church is different. I'm sorry. it could be true. It could 100% be true. I'm not passing judgment on anybody. It could totally be true. You could be super, super dope and like a super, super different Christian from all of the other ones. But I don't want to hear it, because the number one thing that deconstruction people get when they begin to deconstruct is people from their old church communities always come in with like, have you tried another church? Well, this one's different. This one's different. And it tends to completely ignore the huge systematic pain that we have felt that has pushed us to deconstruction. And it's really invalidating, because it just kind of says like, hey, all of that entire like lifelong religious trauma that is deep into your psyche and has caused mental illness for you, that could be changed if you just did the Christian thing at like my building and you worshiped the way we do or whatever. I'm downplaying it. And again, I don't mean to be passing judgment on others, but I'm just saying like that is how it feels. We are not interested in trying another one. We don't care. No, thank you. Hard pass. Please don't come in saying that your church is different. Please don't come in saying that you're a different Christian. I'm sorry. Again, it really like puts you in the narrative. And I think sometimes, this is not everyone by any means, but it kind of makes people sometimes, I'm sorry, might come across as rude, but it makes people trying to say like, it kind of sometimes gives me like, I'm a cool mom vibes. This is not everyone, but it just sometimes that's the energy that it gives off, right? Because it's like, no, I'm a cool Christian, like da 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 da, like no, we're not interested. Like, we don't want to have that conversation. So please just don't come in saying that like you're different, I'm one of the good ones. Like, if you need to self-identify so strongly and like tell people that you're one of the good ones, especially if you need to tell people who are deconstructing that you are one of the good ones, I think you should ask yourself a couple more questions as to like, how do you feel in your faith? If your first impulse is like, I gotta let people know I'm one of the good ones, then like, chill. I don't need to be a part of that. So please don't do that. The fourth one would just be, please do not try to convert us either back to Christianity or to another religion. Now, by all means, please continue to ask me questions about like, have you explored other religions? What was that like for you? Did you think about other religions? Like, I'm an open book. Please ask me all the questions that you would like about my process. I'm so open about that, and I love that, and it's helpful for other people who are deconstructing to sometimes hear other people's experiences about like other things that they kind of tried, you know, when they shopped around. So I'm really, really open to that conversation. What's not great is I then sometimes will have people saying like, well, have you tried this? Or like, you know, there's one viral post that went really badly, clearly because the woman was Catholic. I'm not sending hate to Catholics. This particular post was insensitive. And it said, "Dear ex-evangelicals, the Catholic Church is your home." And it was this whole post about how like all these people who are deconstructing, i.e. like going through the physical pain and trauma of a church upbringing, most likely, hey, come to the Catholic Church. And it's like, that's, you know, the point's over here and you're over here. I've had people, you know, try to like, okay, well, you know, have you ever tried Judaism or Islam? And like not asking me, but like trying to like almost get me to convert. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Again, questions about my journey and what I have tried or read or engaged with, 1000%. I'm here to talk about that all day, open book. But please do not try to convert me to, and that kind of goes up to saying like, mine's different, come to my church. No. Please don't try to convert me to another religion. Please don't try to tell me that, you know, yours is different. Just no. Just no. Just no. If you're deconstructing or if you're just damn curious and you want to know all the shit I've tried, go for it. Open book, baby. But please don't try to like convert me to something else, because a huge problem, not a huge problem, but one of the major things that a lot of people begin to deconstruct is how hurtful organized religion is. And that's a really big part of it. A lot of people remain very spiritual when they deconstruct. Y'all know I'm witchy as shit. I'm very spiritual. I did not deconstruct and become an atheist. Some people do, also perfectly valid, respect everybody's journeys. But I did not deconstruct and become an atheist. I stayed very, very spiritual, but a big part of it for me was organized religion. So organized religion also means other religions or sects that you would try to convert me to. So no thanks. Please don't ask me about that. The last one, Okay, and again, I want to be like so respectful, and I appreciate everybody's individual walks of faith. If something is working for you, I fucking love that for you. If it brings you peace, I hope you do it until the day you die, unless you are infringing upon other people's rights. But if it brings you peace and you are staying in your lane, I hope you do it until the day you die. I love that for you. I've got a lot of respect for people in my life who are still practicing Christians and stuff like that. So like, that's all good. But please don't try to come relate to me as a practicing Christian. I've had a lot of Christians sometimes come to me in my DMs and say like, I get so much hate from other Christians too, because I'm one of the good Christians and other Christians hate me for loving gay people. And I like, you are still practicing. And look, I understand there's a lot of trauma and like arguments within Christian, like the calls coming from inside the house. There's lots of arguing that goes on inside the church. I get it. One of the reasons I'm deconstructing, but please don't come to me as like a peer and kind of say like, oh my God, I know, like I get so much hate from Christians and it's so difficult dealing, because like the calls coming from inside the house, like you're still practicing, so it's a little rough. Not saying that I'm not trying to invalidate your journey. God knows, I know that even inside the church, you can be a practicing Christian and still experience tons of shit. I know that because I was there before I chose to leave entirely. So I 100% get that, but please don't come in and relate your experiences as a practicing Christian still in the church to mine out of the church. It's just not a conversation I want to have, because I'm still fucking bitter. Like, that's also part of it. Like 1000%, that's also just kind of part of it. Like, I'm still healing and processing, and like my response a lot of times is like, but you're still in it, so you're not, like, no thanks. So that's the other thing. Please don't try to come in and try to relate as a practicing Christian as like, oh yeah, like, you know, we get so much hate at my church because we're the good ones and we're not into all the stuff the bad guys do. Look, there are good Christians who follow true doctrine. 1000%, I get that, and I respect it, and I love it, and I hope you keep that up. And if it's working for you, again, I love that. But I just don't want to have a conversation about it, and I don't want my experiences to be related to somebody who's in the church right now, because you are still in it. And I don't mean that for that to be rude or frustrating. It's just like, when you are deconstructing, you know, especially, again, I'm only speaking from my own experience, but that is modern evangelical Christianism is what I'm deconstructing from. And a big part of that is like getting approval from others and like getting judgment passed on you by people from the church body and people who are other Christians. So it's just conversations I don't want to have. I do not mean that rude, and I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. I'm not saying I don't want to talk to you, but like, maybe you and we can just talk about books or smut. If you're a practicing Christian and you have questions about my journey, totally fine. I will answer them for you in great detail probably, but I just don't really want to have a dialogue. And this sounds really mean, but unfortunately, I just don't really want to hear about your experiences in the church, even if they're different. I don't, because I've heard a lot of them and I've lived it. So I hope that's helpful. Again, if you feel like you've ever said one of these things to me, please do not come apologize or anything. It's totally fine. And like, here's the thing, guys, I'm deconstructing like publicly. I've chosen to do this and share content about it as it's happening. So these were also only things that like I learned having these conversations with you guys. So thank you for that. Honestly, thank you for that, because, and I mean that so genuinely, because it has helped me understand where I am and how, oh, okay, that's not a conversation that I want to have. So thank you so much for being so open with me and having these conversations with me, and keep them coming, guys. Like, keep them coming by all means. I am still an open book. There's no necessary need to apologize for triggering me or anything or whatever. I'm a big girl. I'm good. I've chosen to do this publicly and to share content about it. So I've chosen to always have an open inbox policy when it comes to deconstruction stuff. So do not let this stop you from having those convos with me. If you've got questions, whatever, keep it up, and thank you. You guys are the best. So I'll see you online.